Kansas City Chiefs, round 1, pick number 29. There's been a lot of changes on the Chiefs team. They've been very active in free agency. Players are leaving. They're getting players to join the team. So what are they going to do in the draft here? Round 1, pick number 29.
So they're going wide receiver Jameson Williams out of Alabama. This is a clear, obvious move. This is to replace the big play threat that Tyreek Hill was. They shipped off Tyreek Hill to Miami, so they used the draft pick that they got from the Dolphins to get Hill's replacement in Jameson Williams. Williams was a big-time, big play threat, had 15 touchdowns in 15 games in Alabama last season. The only reason he actually is lasting this late in the draft is because he tore his ACL in January. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's not going to hurt his career at all. And I think the Chiefs get a big play guy at good value here late in the first round.
For me, Nick, a while back, it used to be kind of scary to pick an Alabama receiver in the draft. You didn't know what you were getting. It all changed when a guy named Amari Cooper came out. I think he was the most polished, pro-ready receiver Alabama had in a while up to that time. And now lately, it seems guy after guy after guy is an automatic plug-and-play hit from Alabama. So this is a no-brainer to me. You get one of probably the 3 to 4 Alabama receivers who are going to go in the first round of the NFL draft this year. Plug them in and play them. I think Jameson Williams is a great pick for the Chiefs right here.
Okay, moving on to their second pick in the first round, right after 29, it's number 30, and they take cornerback Kaiir Elam out of Florida. Elam's 6'1", 200, long arms, runs a 4.3 40. He checks every box there is to be a natural corner. He's got natural good instincts. He understands the game very well, plays at a very high level. And he shut down, actually, Jameson Williams from Alabama and John Mechie III when Florida played Alabama this year. Very, very impressive. Not many people can say that. The only reason he's actually lasted this long is because he got a little inconsistent at times. Sometimes he'd play down to his competition. The good news is he won't have to worry about that in the NFL because he's going to have to play up to everybody's competition. I think this is a great pick here for Kansas City as they try and replace cornerback Tre'Davious Ward, who left in free agency.
Nick, sometimes hearing that name sends shivers down my spine. And I did the research. It does turn out Kaiir Elam is Matt Elam's nephew. The first-round safety drafted by Baltimore a while back, who is a complete bust. But I do have some other news. It turns out that when it's the nephew to the uncle, the Hollywood Marquise Brown to the Antonio Brown, it turns out there's much less problems. So the Chiefs should feel safe here. It's Matt Elam's nephew, and it turns out the nephews have much less baggage and are more focused on playing football. This is a great pick here for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, moving on to their first of 2 picks in the second round at pick number 50. We have them taking Nick Bonito, edge defender out of Oklahoma. Bonito is an athletic freak. He's 6'3", 245, runs a 4.5, 4.6 40. This guy basically plays like a defensive end, but he never puts his hand in the dirt. He's a stand-up guy. Oklahoma lined him up all over the defense. He made plays wherever he lined up. He was just a heat-seeking missile to the football, creating turnovers and big plays for that Oklahoma defense. Honestly, the upside for Bonito is huge. He's basically Micah Parsons minus Micah Parsons' ability to cover. I think with that level of talent and athletic ability, I think he's a must-have here for the Chiefs in the second round.
And I love getting a guy like this to come be an understudy for a Frank Clark player. Chiefs have had some very, very high-profile edge rushers in the past. I think that's part of the reason they've gone so far in the postseason lately. And if you get a guy to replace some of the guys that you have lost in free agency at the edge position, come under a guy like Frank Clark, who's a pretty accomplished pass rusher in himself, I think it's a great move to try to build yourself a little edge rushing dynasty factory in Kansas City. So not too bad. But who else do we have in the second round for the Chiefs here, Nick?
So at pick number 62, they take defensive tackle Logan Hall out of Houston. Logan Hall is a 3-technique defensive tackle, which means he lines up in the outside of the guard. He doesn't play inside. He doesn't do the dirty work like some defensive tackles. He is a disruptor from his position. He gets up the field with an attitude. He's long. He's 6'6", 260, and he makes plays. If he sounds like Chris Jones, the current Chiefs defensive tackle, you're exactly right. He is a perfect kind of Jones replica. We know how the Kansas City Chiefs like to use Jones. And if you pair him, Logan Hall, either in a substitute, they either swap out Chris Jones with Logan Hall, where they put them both on the field at the same time. That is a nightmare for a potential opposing offensive line. So I really like Logan Hall here for the Chiefs.
Yep. They got Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and now another defensive tackle. This is what I'm saying. The Chiefs finally have someone competent calling the defense. They've gotten rid of Sorensen. They start to draft a good DB. They get a good edge, a good defensive tackle. It seems the Chiefs are all in on making a good. There's a real culture shift, it seems, as in Kansas City Halls on the offensive side of the ball, as well as the defensive side of the ball. You know, they've gotten a lot bigger at receiver on the Chiefs, but as well, they're getting more accomplished around the defensive side of the ball. So I like this progress, and it's kind of scary to see what they're going to be like in the coming years.
All righty, to round it up, in the third round, pick number 94, we have them taking offensive lineman Sean Rhyan out of UCLA. So Ryan was a 3-year starter at UCLA at tackle. He's massive, 6'5", 330, but he's surprisingly nimble. He moves pretty well. This is 100% a depth pick. Ryan is projected as a guard, but he can play all over. He can play left tackle, left guard, right guard. This is just to have a guy that has experience and talent. So that way, if you do have injuries or if you have poor performance among your starters on the offensive line, you've got a guy that's capable that can come in and play any of those 4 positions right away. Just because when you have a guy like Mahomes back there, right, you can't take any chances with any severe weaknesses on the offensive line. So this is a depth pick, but a much needed one for the Chiefs.
I love the aspect of taking a flyer on an O lineman in the third round. Someone who maybe has played all of their snaps throughout college, 4-year starter, had a lot of really great reps in college. And I like this for the Chiefs just for, like you said, I, as a Baltimore fan, know what can happen when all of your offensive linemen get hurt in one season, and you have to scramble, throwing people. Left tackle goes to right tackle. Your right tackle goes to your guard. Your center is no longer existent, so you have to get your guard to be your center. There's a lot of things that can happen, and you can never have too many offensive linemen on the roster. So spending a valuable third-round pick here on an offensive lineman who could be developed into an offensive lineman in the future of a starter caliber, I think this is a really good move for the Chiefs.
All right, so just to recap all 5 of these picks we've got going on here, we've got the Chiefs in their 2 first-round picks taking wide receiver Jameson Williams out of Alabama and corner Kaiir Elam out of Florida. In the second round, they get Nick Bonito, edge defender out of Oklahoma, and they wrap up the second round with Logan Hall, disruptive defensive tackle from Houston. And in the third round, they add some depth to their offensive line with Sean Rhyan out of UCLA.